Hello everyone, I'm gonna bring my unfiltered opinion about the RSI Hermes in Star Citizen. It is one of the latest medium cargo ship. It is somewhat alone in its class because the raft only carries 196 or 192 SCU, and this one carries 288. It is also more of a, would say, blockade runner because it is pretty fast compared to other ship in its class. It tops at 1200 meter per second in nav mode, which is very good considering. But there are issues with it. The main issue, and you probably heard about it, it's that rear door. And I do believe it's just because they didn't want to move away too much from the design of the Apollo. But that brought in design issues as well. And we'll just go ahead and show you. All right. So, as most of you know, we got the suit lockers and weapon lockers, or weapon racks on each side, and some components over here and there, left and right, and the remote tractor beam station, the one towards the back. This is personally not a good thing. Well, it's unnecessary. They could just have kept it over in the cockpit. Well, you can actually use it from the co-pilot seat, if I recall correctly, in the cockpit. But this, I don't know. It's I would just get rid of it. But essentially, these two parts of the ship are where you would, well, partly it is the corridor for the docking system of the Apollo, and also the doors towards the cargo space of the Apollo. And they didn't want to do too much with them. You know, essentially they only wanted to remove the doors, remove the wall of the airlock, essentially, which would be like here. And then that would be the interior door. You would get here and you would have door 1 and door 2 for the cargo area. And they didn't want to mess with that. And personally, that's a big mistake. Because now we got a very narrow door. And it is not impossible, but difficult enough right now to even get, you know, a 2 SCU wide thing in there. Well, you got plenty of space left and right, but if you're not centered, it's gonna spin around. It's not fun. And if you go with like a 16, 24, or 32 SCU, well, you're gonna have issues. And not only because of the size of the door, you'll have issues because of that track. It is way too low. It should be recessed into the ceiling, because as you can see, the turret itself is pretty darn low. And if you do manual loading and and you're around here with your max lift like that, and take one crate, put it over there, you may come into contact with the turret over there, or when unloading, when it's on the wave on the far end, yeah, you may come into contact with that turret. Now, right now, we don't have any fragile cargo, but we know they want to implement that. That's going to be a pain because you'll always have to worry if that tractor beam turret is going to be in the way and if you're going to hit it. So recess that into the ceiling. And I know, it's like, oh, well, but we want greebles and stuff because, it looks cool. Personally, it doesn't. It gets too busy. Clean and simple, efficient. Especially for ships that has anything to do with transport and industry. All right. So what I would do, well, essentially, I would move all of this over there towards the front of a ship, especially the suit lockers and the weapon racks. And here's why. Door is closed, you're in space, you're in the cockpit, and door gets blown out for whatever reason. Not necessarily by a pirate, just because, I don't know, you didn't maintain your ship and the hinges of the door just blew off. Now, this whole area is venting oxygen. And let's say you want to repair, or there's cargo that is venting as well. Because magnetic grid lock, blew, because maybe it's something that they will add, I don't know, at some point. But they're trying to do a lot of stuff, so I wouldn't put it past them. So you got to get out of your seat, go through that door without an undersuit and a helmet, without oxygen, and run, trying to get everything on in time before you'll actually run out of oxygen and die. And we all know that we can die pretty fast without oxygen. So what I would do is essentially extend this corridor further towards the back, then say up to here, up to this line, that would be the door. And here you would find the suit locker and weapon rack for one of the crew member. And on the other side, the same. But what about the components all the way in the back there? Well, guess what? Once you get out, you're inside the cargo area. And right behind it, there's gonna be plenty of space to put components over there that would be accessible through the cargo area, just like it is right now, but being on the far end. So by essentially deleting this and deleting this, putting that over there, you are creating a lot more room, and you could have a water door. Now, there is a few things to do too, because if we look over at the outside, we got engines right here. So they cannot just by moving this inside actually get a wider door. What you would need to do is change the rear end. So, and it doesn't have to be drastic changes, but essentially get rid of that kind of arm right there on each side. Cut this, bring it further towards the outside, and widen this. And you could have a door which is probably double the width, which would be awesome for 32 SCUs. And also for the because I've already talked about that track over there should be recessed. Well, what they can also do, because it is a pain in the ass when the beam turret is right here, it's a pain in the ass to get anything through this because it is too low and too close. Well, have an extendable rail and please push it all the way over past the ramp, so you could have essentially the tractor beam right above me, and you'll be able to pick up stuff, turn, and then be able to cleanly get a 32 SCU inside without any issues. One issue that I've encountered also with that tractor beam is essentially, you know, you all have only a few boxes towards the rear end, and this is not limited to that specific beam turret. It's for any tractor beam turrets. They're floppy, and so floppy that whenever you move along the track with something attached to it, well, with cargo being pulled with it, well, the cargo lags behind, and essentially you'll be getting over there and the crate will be detached from the beam because it is lagging behind, and once you get over there it's probably gonna hit the rear end of that turret and it won't go in front of the turret, giving essentially the blue beam instead of the red one. So yeah, a few things that they really have to rework on the Hermes. And personally, do not do a Mark 1 Hermes and then a Mark 2. No, just do the design changes. Because no one would like, you know, a new ship have a Mark 1 and Mark 2. Those are very sensible suggestion, especially the suit lockers shouldn't be at the end of the ship through a whole cargo hold next to a door that is exposed to space. Shouldn't be that way. Should either be in the cockpit or the room next to it, but there shouldn't be like a straight line between the outdoors and the suit lockers like that. All right, that is all. Goodbye.